Usually, when I come up with a suggestion, project my opinions on what I believe to be a good or, at the very least, a solid idea for the Vikings to do, talking about putting together the best possible roster year over year, whether that's in the draft, trade up, trade down, big names in free agency, should they or should they not go after said players, the trade market. Oh my God, what are the possibilities there? Let's talk about it. Or even in-house players, re-sign or let walk. Whenever I come up with those suggestions, for the most part, the Vikings do the complete opposite. Very rarely are the Minnesota Vikings and I in lockstep with a move to make with this roster. It rarely happens, but when it does, it's like, all right, man, all right, I was on to something. I'm not just an idiot. Today is one of those days. The Vikings and Theo Jackson have agreed to terms on a contract extension, 2 years, a little over $12.6 million that will take him through the 2027 season. I've said on this channel, not just here on Realistic Randy, but also on the group show that I do, Purple Parlor, with myself, SK, and Rap, that their priority needs to be in the trenches on both sides of the ball. So much so that a guy like Cam Bynum, who's a free agent himself, he's going to be looking for big money. I said, literally, I'm ready to run this ish with Theo Jackson. And if Harrison Smith decides to retire, okay, we'll just elevate Josh Metellus from the utility guy all around defensive player to strictly safety opposite of Theo Jackson. Why? Because Theo Jackson, you can get him on the cheap, much cheaper than Cam Bynum. You don't want anything to get in the way of the priority as far as building up the interior offensive line and interior defensive line. All right, they signed him to an extension. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Actually, it does. $12.6 million. That's starter money right there. This, I assure you, marks the end of Cam Bynum's tenure with the Minnesota Vikings. I wouldn't even expect the front office to entertain contract negotiations. If anything, I would expect for them to just be like, all right, thank you for everything that you've done, everything that you've contributed with the Minnesota Vikings. Wherever it is that you go, we wish you all the best. Good luck to you, sir. But this is the first step in a long process for this offseason. Obviously, the big question mark is, are they going to bring back Sam Darnold or not? Let me tell you right now, folks, they're not going to bring back Sam Darnold. I actually talked about it. The video before last that I just did on my second channel, Double R Football, talking all things NFL, talked about teams that actually make sense. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't done so already. But it's beyond just the quarterback position. Running back, are you going to bring back Aaron Jones, preferably as an RB2 while addressing RB1 in the draft? Because this draft class is super deep at that position. We've talked about the trenches plenty, which I'm really excited about, because this is a good sign right here, where you don't go crazy spending money at positions where you don't need it. The priority, we've talked about time and time again. The Vikings know what's up. KOC said it himself, specifically when it comes to the interior offensive line. But I know damn well that they also want to get the interior of the defensive line. Cornerback, what are they going to do there? Byron Murphy Jr., I personally would let him go, just like what they're going to end up doing with Cam Bynum. I would let Byron Murphy Jr. go and run it with Mekhi Blackman and Dwight McGlothern, and maybe you can bring back Shaq Griffin on a 1-year deal, address cornerback in the draft. But I tend to lean towards the Vikings really possibly bringing him back as long as the money is right. Next week, when the negotiating window opens up, is going to be crazy. I fully expect, just off of this move alone, I fully expect the Vikings to go crazy on the offensive line and the defensive line. I can't wait.